Okay, everybody. We're going to be starting in just a second. Let me share out my desk over here. I have some kind of screen to kind of welcome you besides just my lovely dulcet tones of my voice. I want to thank all of you guys for attending. We are having a lot more attending than we anticipated, which is great. That's really awesome. That shows a great need for this. So this is the first time we've done this, so just kind of be patient with us. We're kind of learning through this process as well, and I think it's kind of that way for the country. We're all learning through this process. One thing I do want to say, Axiom does not have a home office. So one of the things that I think is great about this scenario is that we always have worked home office. So we're very familiar with Teams. We never really had clients coming to us. We always went to them. And because of that, all of our processes, the way that we designed our company, the way we operate, everything's all cloud-based and virtual-based. So our phone system, for example, Kaylee, who's on our call, who will be doing the Teams presentation, she's in Gainesville right now. And we have other people in our organization that aren't just in Jacksonville, that we work as one team and we do it remotely. And because of that, that's given us some good experience in learning in Teams that we want to pass on some of that knowledge to you guys. But what's amazing about Teams is they're always evolving it. The products are changing for the better. They're increasing it. We're going to talk about some of the new features that they're going to be coming around the corner for Teams. And they're pretty awesome. They're game changers on some of them. And so what does that mean? So that means that when you've learned Teams, just realize that as the new versions come out, you might go, all of a sudden, where'd that button come from? That button wasn't there before. And you're going to start seeing Teams over the course of the years. It's going to evolve and it's going to change. So just be willing to learn new skills and kind of go over those things. So just a little bit about us. Some of you may be new to working with Axiom. Everybody on this call should be clients of ours. So anything that we're going to be talking about and showing, we can help you with having any questions that you have after this. Now, we are going to allow for questions and answers, and we encourage you guys to do that. So if you have questions and you're like, hey, I don't know about this, I don't know about that, just put it in the question section, and we can answer those as we're going. We may stop and just try to address the questions you may have, or I may just respond to it in chat. So feel free to go ahead and ask any questions as we're doing it. But also, after you see this new feature and you try it out on your own and you go, well, I can't see where it is, don't hesitate to put in a ticket for us to work with you and try to get this going for you, because we really do want everyone to be very productive. We kind of threw this together pretty quickly because we knew that it was something that was going to be needed, and we're going to continue to do these over the course of the weeks as this situation progresses. Anything else you want to interject, Kaylee?
No, I'm just to say that I'm really excited that we're doing this. We really like Teams. We've integrated it so much into our company, and we're really excited to share it with you guys. I know some of you guys on this call already have it, and others are completely new to it. So I'm really excited to just get to show you guys all that it offers. Yeah.
All right, with that, I just want to kind of go into some of the do's and don'ts in Teams very quickly before we pass it over to Kaylee to start doing the demonstrations. There's not really going to be much slides in this presentation. Most of this is going to be situations where she's going to be showing it real time. She's going to be just showing it to you guys, so you don't have to sit here and drool through a whole bunch of slide presentations.
Yeah.
But I did want to have some things kind of in the do's and don'ts. Do play with it. There's no nuclear launch codes button on Teams that if you hit it, you're going to blow your whole organization up. So there's nothing wrong with just getting on a Teams chat with somebody else across that you are working with on a regular basis and say, hey, let's just play with Teams. I'm going to hop on it. Let's just try to play around and see some cool things. There's all kinds of different buttons and things that they do. Play with it. Learn it. there's nothing wrong, and if you mess it up, put in a ticket, we'll fix it for you. I'd rather get one ticket for me to help fix something than have 6 tickets to help you do something because you're just too scared to play with it.
Mhm.
So, don't worry, you're not gonna blow anything up. Second is don't forget you're on a call. It's amazing sometimes in these calls where you'll see people start eating potato chips or doing things like that. And realize that if you have a mic or you have even like the video phones, they have mics on them. And so what you'll see is everybody's going to pick that up and it gets very loud.
Mhm.
So just kind of realize that. You can mute someone if they're getting too loud but just realize that then you won't hear anything they're saying. Also, I put in there not wearing pants. There's a one that's going around right now where somebody was on a meeting and they actually got up and forgot they had video on and they went to
Yeah.
the bathroom.
I'm pretty sure it was Zoom too.
Yeah, I think they were on a Zoom meeting. So just realize that when you're in these meetings that you're in a meeting. So don't forget that. Sometimes people just kind of think they're on a phone call and they can go wherever,
Mhm.
and they're not wearing pants and they stand up and everybody's like, okay. So that's something to pay attention to. Also, one of the things that's really important about Teams is it's across all platforms. And what does that mean? So that means that it works on your phone, right? So I have Teams on my phone. So
Mhm.
and I also have it installed on multiple computers.
Mhm.
What that allows is people to be able to reach out to you, whether you're on the laptop that you're going to be mobile or your desktop or on your phone. And that kind of keeps all the communication centralized versus having the communication happening uh, on a text message and then through an email and then through this and then through that. And then you're not sure where you communicated that message at. It helps centralize everything. So it's really good to have that across all platforms and then use it. Don't use texting when you're on your phone when you're talking with everybody, but then when you're office, you use email, and then when you're here, you use Teams. Just use it across the board, and you'll have a
Mhm.
much better experience. And with Teams, um, on your phone, you can do the phone calls and you can join the videos. So maybe the computer that you have doesn't have video and chat a microphone capability. Well, when you have it installed on your phone, you can still join the meeting from your phone and see what's going on your phone screen, and then they can still see you and you can still chat and talk. I was on a Teams call yesterday, and I had my meeting that I had ran long. So I was driving back and I joined the Teams call on my phone and I used the Bluetooth and everything to work flawlessly. I just had it sitting in the console and I was just driving along hands free,
Mhm.
listening and having a conversation. And then I got out of the car and then transitioned to my car, to my house, and it all worked seamlessly. So it's very effective, and I really encourage everyone to start utilizing it, not just for the desktop. Use it across all things. You can put it on your iPad, you can put it on your iPhone, and I kind of have a little slide here that you kind of see that these people are putting in it across multiple different platforms, that you can kind of see there. Um, and and the last thing is the calendar piece is really important in Teams. So what does that mean? So that means when you're scheduling things through Teams, and Kaylee will demonstrate that to you. It has a calendar section in Teams where you can go ahead and schedule something that you want to send an invite out, but you can also join events through that too, which is really nice and easy.
Mhm.
And then there is a Teams plugin in your Outlook that when you go to schedule something, just hit it and it goes ahead and creates the link and puts it in there for you. And then you
Mhm.
just send out the calendar invite like you normally would. And it works
Mhm.
really, really well.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
All right, with that, I'm going to go ahead and change it over to Kaylee.
All right. So I'm a noob and I don't have my camera, so you can't see me, but I promise I'm here. Um, Hi guys. I am super, super excited to get to show you guys this. It's easy to talk about something that you're very passionate about and that you enjoy. So first, I just want to talk about how easy it is to download. It truly is so easy to download it onto your computer. All you need to do is go to this website. So I'm going to share my screen. So I pulled it up for you guys right now so you can see. It's going to be teams.microsoft.com/downloads. And it's going to pull up this image, and you can see right here it says download Teams. Right there, you'll just click it. It'll download. You'll just go through the little prompts that it tells you to, and it's on your computer. So it's super simple to use. You can also go onto your app store on your iPhone, iPad, Android, whatever you want to use. You can go onto your app store and download it from there. And all you have to do is use your Microsoft account information to log in. So it's going to be your username, which is your email, and then your password, which is what you use for your email every day. And if you don't know that, obviously, you can come to us and we can reset it for you and change it up so that you can log in and get you good and going. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is what it looks like when you log into Teams. So here it is in all of its glory. This is like it completely new with barely anything. I had my dad send me this little text, but other than that, this is what you're going to see when you first log in is the chat screen. So what you can do with this screen is click new chats and chat anyone in your company who has their Microsoft account on. So this is a test. Obviously, my actual Teams is blowing up most of the time, and everyone in our company has a chat and everything like that. You can add chats with multiple people. You can have like 8 people in a group, or you could have a chat with just one other person or 2 other people. So it's totally up to you. You can change the chat name just like you would an iMessage for iPhone. You can change it to, whatever team you're with. So you could say this is the blank category and this is the blank and this is my call with just these people. It's pretty cool. You can section it all off and it's really simple to use. It's very straightforward. I can use an example here. I'll click on the conversation with my dad and here's how it pulls up. You can even like, heart, or send any emojis that you'd like to his chat that he sent me. So I'm going to like it and say thanks. And then you can respond back here at the bottom. And it'll send right to him. And so yours will be in like a light purple, theirs will be in white. And if you can see from this window, you can do so much. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but hopefully when I walk you through these little buttons, it should all make sense to you and be a little bit more understanding about all of it. So the top right, if you can see, right here, there's a phone icon. I can call him right from here. We can start a phone call. This will not do video right at first. It'll just be a phone call, just like your regular phone, but it'll be through Teams. And then if you'd like to switch to turn on your video, you have the option to do that, but it'll ask you before it shows your video. And then here you can see you can share a screen with this person that you're in a chat. So let's say your coworker is like, how do I do this? I can't figure out how to log on to this application and it's not letting me do what you're saying that I can do. Then all you have to do is just click share screen and it'll literally it'll request the share to him and he can accept and it'll show directly your screen, which is really, really cool. And we use that a couple of times. And then the next one is like 2 little people with a plus sign. That's where you can just add a person to this chat. If you don't want it to be you and the person that you're chatting with right now and you want to add somebody else in, that would be where you'd add it. So it's pretty straightforward once you know what the buttons are for. Down here at the bottom, you can use these to format. It says if you hover over it, set delivery options. This is just like things that you probably don't want to use at first, but if you want to in the future, you can.
Let me interject something there, if you don't mind, Kelly.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to rewind for just a second, I was answering a question. Is the share your desktop? So that icon that she has there, which is also very powerful, is maybe you're on the phone physically with that person talking to them, and you just want to share your desktop with them. So when you're in the chat and you hit that share icon, what it's going to do is it's going to share her desktop. See, right now I'm getting a notification saying that Kaylee's trying to share her desktop with me. But it's not going to do any of the voice piece of it. It's just going to share her desktop. So then I can just still stay on the phone, see what she's seeing, and then we can end it. And it doesn't have to do the Teams call.
Right.
And you can also share your desktop once you are in a video call and you're talking to that person. So you can do either way, which is really, really powerful.
Yeah, for sure. It's so helpful, especially, words can only go so far. So, and we even use it. I know you guys know, for like us, we'll use things like Screen Connect to actually go into your computer and use it. This is just a great way for you guys to use that similar sort of idea with the people around your company. And you can even give them access to your computer through that. You can even say, we'll let them direct me. And what it'll do is, here, let's see if I can just, do you think double screen sharing would like freak it out?
I don't know.
I guess we'll figure it out, right?
You might rip us a hole in the space-time continuum.
Let's see. Okay, so right now I'm sharing with my dad from his account, so it's connecting. Right up here, you can see it. All right, so questing. Beautiful. Yep. So now it comes up with the screen.
And so I'm gonna share my screen out now. So I'm gonna steal yours.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And then I'm gonna share. So now I am seeing Kaylee's desk here. So you can see here, this is everything that's on our desk. And then again, this is where she's talking about where you can turn on the audio. So you can turn on the audio, you can turn on the video right here. You can still do the chat. But me and Kaylee are having our Zoom meeting, but the audio and video aren't getting in the way. So this is where that's really helpful if you want to do that. But let's say that we were already on the call. She went ahead and hit the phone icon and it dialed. Then all you would have to do at that point is hit this share your desktop screen.
Yes.
And you would start sharing immediately.
Down here.
So it's really, really powerful in allowing you to collaborate and work. And we haven't even talked about the file options, which are a bit mind-blowing.
Yeah, really, so for sure.
I don't want to steal your thunder. Sorry.
No, you're good. And are you still sharing my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Up here is where you can give the controls. So if you click this, they'll be able to then drive on that screen that you're sharing with them, and they can interact with your screen, which is a really, really cool option that I love that they added.
I think one of the things that is important to see here, what Kaylee did is notice you don't see the start menu on hers. So what she shared out when she shared her screen wasn't her full desktop. She only shared her browser. So
yeah, my one window.
Yeah, minimize your browser for a second, Kaylee. Okay, notice it's minimized on her screen. Nobody can see that because you're seeing what I'm presenting, but you don't see her background. You don't see her desktop. You don't see anything. So sometimes this can be great because some people, when they hit share, they're like, I can't see what you're doing. And they're like, they don't understand what's going on. Chances are you didn't share your desktop. You shared a specific app. Or maybe if you have multiple monitors, you shared the wrong desktop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this sharing session. And Kaylee, if you would go ahead and share your screen out again.
Okay. All right. Yeah, something that I love that's really cool. This gives you an example of how much Teams is evolving and how much they care about the quality of everything after you're done with a phone call or a screen share, it always asks you to rate how your experience was. And you can just send it over to them just so that they're constantly knowing how everything's going, which is really, really cool. So there are some other things at the bottom that I did want to discuss before I leave the chat tab that we have here. So again, I talked about these first two. This little one right here is probably going to be useful to many of you guys, which is attachments. Just like you would in an email, you can attach things that you would like to send to people through Teams here. And you can click on it, and what it'll do is pull up where you would like to upload it from. You can upload it directly from your computer or from any file sharing software that you guys have installed on here.
Let me pause about that for a second. Can you go ahead and hit the plus, the attachment icon there?
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of hinting ever so subtly the OneDrive option.
Mm-hmm.
What the big difference is between uploading a file or the OneDrive option is, if it's a file that you basically share the link to in OneDrive or SharePoint, what it does is it puts the link to the file. What's significant about that is then anyone who makes edits using that link, all of the changes are aggregated. Versus if you just upload a file and that other person downloads it to their local computer, makes changes, and then uploads it, there's a lot of SWIP swapping going on. Whereas, if you just hit the OneDrive link and if you have the files that you're looking for on OneDrive, you can put them there and then share them. And the OneDrive is really more for your personal/business use. And SharePoint is more for the whole organization as a whole. Some of you I know on this call already are utilizing SharePoint. Some of you may not be. And we can assist you with those kinds of things after the call if you want to, ding me and you have some questions about how you can try to start leveraging some of that. It's not something that you can just flip a switch and immediately get there. There is some planning and stuff that's involved in doing that, but that's what's really great about that. Also, if you just load the file here and you edit it in the files section, Kaylee, can you click on the files section up there in the top in the chat? Now, if you make the edits there, they will be collaborative. So don't upload it and then download it to yourself. If you just want to upload the file here and then work collaboratively, that's totally fine. You don't have to use SharePoint or OneDrive to accomplish that. So you would just put the file in the chat, everybody would start to edit it, and once they're done, then you can send it off to the parties that are appropriate and you're good to go.
Yeah.
And it's really great in that respect.
Yeah, it's super helpful for sure. And like depending obviously on your organization, you guys may use this for different things. Some might use it to like edit pictures and stuff like graphics. Others may use it for documentation, or creating just specific documents via a certain team, which is just really cool that you can just do all of that from here and not have to worry about how is everybody else going to get it and how is everybody else going to edit it. You can all edit it from one space, which is just really cool.
And I think
keeps everything organized.
Also, sometimes people get really confused in the differences between OneDrive and SharePoint. And the way that I put it this way is OneDrive is kind of like your personal business home drive. So files that you're working on that maybe perhaps may not be mature enough to share to the group as a whole. Maybe it might be something that you want one or two people in the organization to collaboratively work on before you're ready to share it to the aggregate. OneDrive is perfect for that, and even for things that are more of a personal nature that are still business related. So it's kind of like your home drive is what OneDrive is for. It's not meant to do large-scale sharing. Although the sharing from OneDrive is very easy. You can just basically right-click on any folder in OneDrive and share it to anyone you want to do. And then you can collaboratively work on anything in a folder or a file that you share out. But OneDrive is really designed to share everything, because OneDrive, its nature is to not share anything. SharePoint's nature is to share everything you put in there to everybody in the organization. So SharePoint is really great for forms or things that you want the company or the organization to have everybody have access to. SharePoint isn't really a great tool if you want to create a lot of segmentation and limitations. It's not, I mean, you can do that, but you're going against the grain of that product. It's kind of outside the scope of what this presentation is really for, but I did want to let people know that there is some specific differences between the two.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I see that someone asked, can you get OneDrive on your cell? There is an app for OneDrive. It's called Microsoft OneDrive, and you can download it on your phone. And I have used it multiple times.
I use it all the time. It's great.
Yes, it is very useful, and it connects right up with it. So, yeah, highly recommend for sure. So going back to the chat, I just came from files. There are a couple other things you can use on here. These are just fun things. You can send faces. You can send GIFs or GIFs, however you say it, to people. Those are all just fun things, stickers. But this is the one that I did want to emphasize here. You are able to schedule a meeting directly from this icon, straight to the person that you are chatting with. So let's say you're talking, you're like, I really want to talk about this. Can we talk about this on Tuesday? They're like, yeah, for sure. You can just click right here and schedule that meeting.
We're not seeing all of what you're sharing out right now, I think.
Oh, what'd I do?
I don't think you shared the
Let's
full
see.
app.
Let's try it again. I think you took access and you took it away from me.
Oh, okay. Try it again. Now hit the calendar again.
Here.
Okay. Now I can see it.
Now you can see. So this is what it looks like when you click on that. You'll just put the title, who you want to participate in the meeting, the time, the date. You can put it as a reoccurring meeting if you'd like to set it for daily, weekly, monthly, anything like that. You can custom at the bottom. Then you can also add a channel if you'd like. We'll go into channels a little bit later about what those are. And I can explain them into detail. And then you can location, any details you'd like, and then send it straight his way. And he can approve it and make sure that you're good to go. So this is pretty simple. You can add whatever you want in here. It's just like a regular calendar invite that you would on your iPhone or Android or Google, that kind of thing. So it's pretty straightforward, but very useful because if you're really trying to set up a meeting with somebody, it's so straightforward. You just send it their way and they're like, oh, okay, you guys
Also,
we're good.
Click on the calendar icon in the left.
This one you're talking about? Yeah.
So this one I really like because what's nice about that is if someone created a Teams appointment for you to join, and you're like, oh, darn it, I can't, where's that invite for me to click to join? If there's a Teams meeting that you can join and you're eligible to join, it will be there and it'll just have the word join right there.
Yeah. So useful.
Yeah, so many times where I'm like, where was that Teams invite? Oh my gosh, I clicked out of that calendar invite and now I can't find it and I don't know where it's at. And it'll just
always going to be right here.
It'll always be there. So you just go. So you open up your Teams, go to the calendar section on the left, and then the name join will be right there, and you just say join, and then boom, you're right.
Yeah. It's really, really useful in that sense of like simplicity. It's always going to be right there. And let me show an example of that. I'll go back to the chat and actually send. I'll just do test. I'll send a actual invite to my dad for a meeting. And I'll just send it to my dad. He doesn't need to know the details. Doesn't matter. It's just a meeting. And I'll send it his way. And so he's going to get that request on his side.
Working on it.
You should be able to come here to the calendar, and now you can see there's that meeting that I set up right there. And it says test. It was made by me. And you can click on that. And that join button that he was explaining to you guys is going to be right here when you click on the meeting. You can join from right here inside the meeting. It's really, really useful. I actually just had to use it the other day because I couldn't figure out where to join the meeting.
Yeah, it sounds silly, It sounds silly, but I tell you, once you know it's there, you're like, thank God that's there. I can't find this meeting invite that I'm supposed to be at. It sounds silly, but it does. It will save your bacon. And when you use it one time, you'll be like, thank God I attended that meeting. Boy, that was really helpful.
Oh, we have a great question. Why would you use Teams invites instead of going directly to Outlook Calendar? That's a great question. That's a great question. They actually can go hand in hand. You can use both in the same way. So it's really up to you. I mostly use Teams just because in the sense of it's all right there where you can set it up in the same place that you're going to be having the meeting. But I know my dad does use Outlook Calendar a lot as well. So Dad, do you have anything to say about that?
It's really about what's convenient. If I'm in
Mhm.
Teams and I want to go ahead and schedule something quickly and I'm in a Teams meeting, I might just use the Teams app versus opening
Mhm.
Outlook because it's right there.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of times where I'm just collaboratively working inside Outlook and I'm just like, let me go ahead and schedule something and it's just literally a Teams icon, and when you open up a calendar like you're going to schedule it, and it's right there, just Teams, and you hit it, and all it does is it drops the team's information in the invite.
Mhm.
So there's no magical thing that it does other than that.
Mhm.
And then you just send an invite to the appropriate people, and then it tracks it all appropriately.
Yeah.
So it works really, really well both ways. There is no wrong answer in that regard. Either one
Mhm.
works perfectly.
Mhm. Yeah, that was
Oh,
a great question.
another question was, does the calendar sync? And the answer is absolutely it does.
Yes, it does indeed.
So if I we don't have we kind of have a demo of going here, but if we had a full-fledged implementation of Teams, she could open up Outlook. She
Mhm.
could go ahead and create a team schedule, and within seconds, it will show up in the calendar section of where we're looking, and
Mhm.
they stay in perfect harmony.
Mhm. Yeah, we use this for our weekly meetings with our teams. And depending on no matter where you set it, either if you set it in Outlook or you set it in Teams, that is going to broadcast to wherever you have that Outlook calendar. So your Outlook and your Teams work hand in hand. Just like how I said, you log into your Teams with your Outlook, email and password. It knows your Outlook calendar, so it will sync them up. So it really is like how my dad said, it's totally up to you if you'd rather schedule them from here or you'd rather schedule them from Outlook. Completely up to you. Yeah, thank you for those questions. Those are great questions. Um, any other questions about the syncing between Outlook and Teams before
Yeah,
we?
actually, Dorothy asked a really good question. She said, if do you have the ability to actually do phone calls, like where you can do it from your phone using the
Mhm.
phone app? When you use the phone app, it doesn't actually use a phone number. It will
Mhm.
dial in through your data service and join
Mhm.
it. So
Mhm.
there isn't actually a phone number that's required, but there are licenses you can get on Teams that do
Mhm.
add kind of like a call conferencing, kind of like what we have here, where you can call in. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
so that is an additional license that you do have to pay for that allows you for that capability, but it's not something that I feel in most situations is needed. I think most people, when they start saying, well, can we do this? And I'm like, after I've gone through and explained to them how they can use it fully, they're like, well,
Mhm.
I don't think I need it then. I'm like, you're right. Most of the time you don't.
Mhm.
Because of how it works on your phone and other devices, you don't really need it. They even have a conferencing unit that you can have at a conference, and it basically will join. It has like you add it to your Teams as a device, and it
Mhm.
joins your 365 container. So you invite it to your Teams meetings,
Mhm.
and then everybody just goes to that conference room, and after Corona's over, of course, and then when you're in the conference room, you just say join, and then poof, everybody just joins right into the conference, and it has the video and it has speakers and everything, and it's pretty amazing. They're not cheap, but in that situation, you still don't need a phone number. Everybody can just use the Teams apps to join. Now,
Mhm.
again, you can use a call number to do it, but it's fully capable of doing that. And some of those devices are only like a few grand, which sounds like a lot of money, but it comes with the camera system, the speakers that work Bluetooth. and it has all the built-in integration to work in Teams natively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Someone asked about VoIP.
Yeah, that's a deeper answer, Brian. I think
Yeah,
it's
that's a
something
little
that
bit deeper.
you might want to just give us a call and we can talk about it in deeper context. But there
Yeah.
are VoIP capabilities. They do have Teams has
Integrations.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Teams does have its SBS phone system.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other world.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do have almost a Ring Central type option.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's very powerful. I know some clients, or not clients, but some companies that are using it, but we have not used it internally for us.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that is a possibility for sure if you'd like to use it that way. Let's see if I see any more specific groups of staff. This is a great question. Yes, Dorothy, I'm actually about to show you guys somewhere that you can do that. So let me go ahead and check that out for you. So before I leave and show you that area, I do want to say you can create any kind of meetings and stuff from this area as well. If you just click on the time, it'll save it. If you drag a specific amount of time, it'll, yeah, so it's really, really helpful. If you just want to say, oh, from 1 to 2, let's do this, you can just highlight them. It already has it from 1 to 2 o'clock today. It's really, really useful in that way. Another thing is you can say new meeting up here. You can drop this down and say if you want to do a certain type of meeting.
Oh, live meeting. That's really important.
Yeah, live events are kind of like what we're doing here a little bit.
Well,
But you
the
can
live
talk about
meeting
it.
is like you're like talking on the phone with someone. You're like, let's do a Teams meeting real quick with somebody, and I don't want to just schedule it, but I want 4 or 5 different people to get in it right now. You can
Yeah.
just create this live meeting, and it just creates a link, and you just email it out to everybody, and everybody just joins it right away.
Yeah.
So that's really nice if you're just like very ad hoc. Let's get it going right now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a nice way to do it. Or you can do it through, which I think you're going to show, where you can do like a straight call, and you can just add people on the call and just dial.
Yeah.
That's another option.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but live events, you can invite somebody as a guest who
Yeah.
is not, who does not have a Microsoft account, who does not have Outlook. They would normally not be able to, talk to you from Teams, but with this live event, you can have somebody on there as a guest who has a Gmail or something like that.
Yes.
So that's very helpful in that sense.
They have to go through they have to go through kind of an acceptance process through their email, so they get it, and it says, "Hey, so and so wants you to join a meeting." You say, "Yes, I want to do that." And then it's like, "Hey, well, do you want to use the web version of it, or do you want to install Teams? Or if you have Teams already installed in your machine, do you want to just join it?" And then depending on how they answer is how it responds, and then they can just join the Teams meeting from outside. They don't have to be in your organization necessarily.
Yeah, which is really cool. So I highly recommend using that if you want to communicate with somebody through Teams because you're familiar with it, but they do not have it. So that's really cool. These little arrows too, they switch from the weeks, or you can click this drop down right here and you can go to a certain week from here. These are just little things that you need to know just to work around it. And then I wanted to talk about specifically Teams. This is the tab under chats, and you can create a team that has a specific code, so only that team can talk and communicate with each other from there. We have our own separate teams, one with everyone, one with just a certain group of people. And from that team, you can communicate and join meetings and stuff. That is what I was talking about in the sense of channels as well. You can create channels through here, and this will have specific, right here, create a channel. This will have specific people in certain categories. That way, when you are scheduling a meeting and you want to say select a certain channel, it's only going to have the meeting for that channel. The other people will not see the meeting and they cannot join it. It'll only be for that channel. What we do a lot of the time is just weekly meetings with everyone, but we also do meet separately with just like 3 or 4 of us and stuff like that. And we use this, but you can also use chat, like how I said, straight from a chat group between you and those people.
So let's use some scenarios that I think that will help people really start to wrap their head around the Teams aspect.
Yeah.
So you have the chat, which is above. So the chat is very similar to text messaging, and you can create
Yes.
groups. So like you see the little square with a pin at the top. Can you go over there where you say type in search, where you could create a new chat?
Yeah, right here at the very top.
On the left. Actually, you could do it there too, but just right
Mhm.
there. Yeah. So then if you hit that, you can do a new one, and then you just type the different people's names in the chat, right? And then they start to auto-populate. It's just me in there, but your whole organization would show up as you start to auto-complete those. And
Mhm.
then once you start typing the chat, it immediately includes everybody in that chat, and that works out great. And then you still have the phone icon where you can dial everybody in that chat immediately. A lot of times I have chats going with leadership teams, with marketing, with projects. I have different chats that I'm running that I do, and so I can just quickly hit the phone and it'll dial everybody in that chat at one time. It'll just dial them all. Whereas under the Teams section, let's go back to Teams.
Mhm.
Teams is really designed for really wanting to collaborate on projects or activities. Like maybe you're an attorney and it's a new client case.
Mhm.
So then you can have Teams channels where you can store all the files and all the associations with that onboarding, and all the communication can all be through that. You actually can even email or forward emails to this Teams channel and it shows up. I think you can right click under, I can't remember exactly where you do it at off the top of my head,
Mhm.
but it actually, there it is, get email address. See right there? Um,
Mhm.
so you could forward, oh, it's
Right
still
now it's
setting
not
up that.
set up.
Oh yeah, because you just added it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it eventually, once it's done, it has an actual email address. So if you
Yeah.
got an email about that event or that case or something, and you want to make sure that information is centralized to that Teams communication, you can
Mhm.
straight forward it right to it, and it will show up immediately in that Teams conversation, so that you can
Mhm.
have all records of the communication that's involved in that.
Mhm.
So it's a beautiful, or events. Maybe it's onboarding of a project, or starting a project, or decommissioning something, or
Mhm.
um, maybe maybe you just want to separate it by clients, things like that.
Mhm.
It's really, there's no, this is the way you have to do it. It is super cerebral in how you can design it and implement it.
Mhm. Yeah.
We
It's
use
really
it
cool.
for projects, onboarding. We use it for clients that we have specific things that we're trying to do,
Mhm.
like events and things. When we're doing at the Microsoft Store, we do training there, but obviously that's kind of put on pause for right now.
Mhm.
Um, but we'll use Teams channels to do that,
Mhm.
to collaborate and have all of our data kind of going in one spot. So it's super helpful from that regard.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some of you that use it probably differently and are super successful in it, and don't think,
Mhm.
well, I'm not using it the way that Bobby uses it, I must be doing it wrong. That's not correct.
Yeah.
It's very, it's
It's
very,
moldable.
yeah,
Mhm.
very, very much so.
Yeah, and again, like that goes with what I was saying earlier, where it does depend on, your business and how you want to set up everything for people. Um, and I'm going to walk through how you can set up the different teams as well. Um, so if you click on here, you can create a team. So let's just create a team. Um, build a team from scratch, and you can say right here all of these. You can see these what I'm doing, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so you can say if you want it to be a public team or private. Um, so I'll say that I want it to be private for a specific team. So let's say this is just the marketing team. Okay. And then you can also give a description about if they don't know what marketing is. No, I'm just kidding. You can give a description about that specific team and what they do. So I'm going to create it. Oh, nice work. I did it.
Way to go, honey.
I did it. Okay. So then it's going to add a member. So I'll add the only member that we have, which is, oh, I won't do that sign. Just type it. Sorry.
I love how it has autocomplete. It's so
I
nice.
know, it's so beautiful. I don't have to type out his whole name. It's just that. So I'm going to add him to that marketing team. So here is where you can create these things called channels. So marketing team, you could say team 1.
Or it could be a brochure. Like maybe you're working on a new brochure.
Yeah.
We just did one for us, and we're super proud and happy of it. But dude, it took a lot of time to get that brochure right.
Yeah.
And you could just put everything in there. So the pictures that are going back and forth, the correspondence, and the different samples that they give you. You know, because how many times you're like, where was that sample at? Dadgummit, I can't remember where that's at.
Yeah, I can't find it somewhere on my computer.
So if you have that all centralized and kept, then that just eliminates that whole problem of having to go back through and search your email and do all that kind of stuff.
Yes. So here is, Dorothy, I'm hoping that this is kind of answering the question that you have. Here is where you can really break it down and say exactly what you are wanting. So let's say there is 3 people in the marketing team that you want to do a specific project. Here is where you could do that. You could say that you want it to be private for this specific channel, and you would add that specific channel under the marketing team, and then you would add the person that you would want. And I'm doing the @ sign. That's just because I'm used to it. I'm sorry. You don't have to use the @ sign. You can just type in their name, and you can add in those people that you want to be on that specific project. Or, you could lay out this exactly how you want it. In whatever way you are using it for. But let's say it's marketing and you're doing specific projects for marketing, and then they would have to have that specific login and be that specific person to see that project and to be able to access it, access the files under it, and access the posts, the conversations that they're having in that channel.
And also, if you right-click on that under the project section, when you click on it, see where you could add members. So only specific people that have permission can add people. So other people can't just simply start willy-nilly adding them, and you can kind of control how that is done as well.
Yes.
You do notice that it has a little padlock. This private Teams channel is new. They've only added it, I think, maybe 6 months ago. So it's just relatively new. So if you had asked me last year, depending on when you asked, do you have ability to do private channels? The answer would have been no. So just because you get a no right now in reference to what capabilities are in Teams doesn't mean it's always going to be a no. And that's where exploring and continuing to explore is pretty important.
Yes. And while we're on this section, I do want to answer Sherry's question. Sherry, yes, you can change it. Right here where you say edit this channel, that's when you can right click on the certain channel and edit it. And you can change the name, but you can also change where, here, let me show you. Manage, sorry. I changed it. So manage is where you would change the settings of it, and you can change the permission of the membership, fun stuff, mentions. This is where you can also, Sherry, if you don't want them to have a specific thing, like I don't want them playing around with the fun stuff. I want them to be getting down to business. You can remove all of those things that I showed you in the chat to only specific things. So here is where you would do it. So again, it's right click and then manage channel, and this will bring up this, and you can change all of the permissions, mentions. Mentions, it just means you at and then you put the person's name. So they get specifically called out in the channel, and they'll get a notification for that specifically.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
at mentions are kind of important. And the reason why at mentions are important is chats will pop up immediately on your phone. Like you can set it up to where, hey, I want Teams to be notifying me on my phone when I'm getting communication, as well as on your computer. So sometimes the can be very powerful, and like someone may not really have notifications turned on for that channel for them because maybe it's not necessarily an active channel that they're participating for, but you're like, hey, I really want Sherry to see this message in this team's channel. So you say,
Yes.
at Sherry Clark, can you take a look at this? And it will ding her, and it will show up as a notification saying, hey, someone
said your name
said your name
specifically.
and mentioned it. And if she doesn't see it, it'll actually send them an email and say, hey, you were mentioned in this mail, and we noticed you didn't see it yet.
Yes, it will send it directly to your email, which is really cool.
So that's a really nice feature of guaranteeing that person's going to get attention to that message that you're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's very useful, and I would recommend using it, especially when you're in a group, like a chat that has a group of like 6 people, and you're all going back and forth, but you really want someone specific to know what you're saying.
Tristan asked a really good question, and I don't have a great answer for you in that I don't know. I'm about a 9 out of 10 that project 1 would be invisible to that person. But
let's try that. We can try that right now. If I remove you from it, let's see if you can see it.
Oh, okay.
So right now I have my dad's account on it, but let's see if I remove him.
Remove.
So I'm going to X him out of the group. There he goes. Bye-bye.
Oh, it disappeared. Yeah.
It disappeared completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was instant too.
Okay.
There's your answer.
So that's how you really know that somebody didn't do a good job on a project. You just got to boot them out.
Well, and this kind of goes to like how you play. Like, so, maybe you and another member is, like maybe you and another member are trying to verify, I want to set up this way, but I want to make sure everybody else perceives it this way. This is just an example of how you can kind of play with teams. And then as you kind of do it, now you have confidence moving forward. You're like, okay, I know this is going to work the way I want. It's a lot harder when you've rolled it out to a whole bunch of people and then you realize, I kind of did that wrong in this. Let me try to change it. So just play with it before you go to do it. And then you kind of go, okay, now I know. And then you can kind of go off the races.
Yeah, so this is where, again, this was the same place that I showed you the settings. This is just a tab next to it that shows members, and you can add members or remove them through here. And as you can see, I am considered the owner of the group, and there are also members and guests.
I can't do anything to that.
Yeah, you can't do anything because he's only a member of the group and he's not an owner. So let's
Greg
see.
asked a question about showing videos during a chat.
Okay.
So what you can do there is, in a situation, you can send the link to the video in there, and then what will happen is it kind of has a like a little play button in it, and it's not playing synchronously for everybody. It's just for you to then watch that video. Microsoft has a product called Stream that comes with Office 365. It is included with your subscription, and you can actually load videos there, and or you can grab videos from outside, maybe on a blog for your church, and you're like, hey guys, we just loaded this new blog post with a video. It looks super awesome. Here it is, and you can drop it in there, and then they can just play it at any time of their choosing to see it. And it's really, we use it all the time for that. I hope that answered your question, Greg.
Sure. Yeah, and if you have like a simple video as well, you can share your screen too to like show them the video, but I'm not sure.
It gets kind of laggy.
I'm not sure if it's going to be very direct as much as you could with just sending them the link.
Yeah, the link's the better choice because then they can just stream it down and watch it. Hopefully we answered your question, Greg.
Yeah. Let us know if we did not, or you have a specific question to that. So yeah. So I hope this.
We got 5 minutes left. So do you want to?
Yeah, I hope this this does all the you can understand kind of how Teams works. Again, it is so moldable to how you want it to be. You don't have to make it about just marketing and all of that stuff. You can change it, make it private, make it all public, however you want it to be for your organization. And I just wanted to go over real quick. Activities is just a little bit of the feed that's going on with every channel with you.
Yeah.
It'll let you know if you had just a meeting scheduled. It'll let you know if your name was mentioned in the chat. It's just like you just pulled up, a little brief summary of what has happened to
Yeah.
your teams.
That's really helpful too if you've been mentioned in other channels or other activities that you may be, and it's kind of like that red dot with a number icon like you have on your phones.
Yeah.
It says, hey, there's 6 things that you haven't quite seen, and you kind of look at it and
Mhm.
go, well, what are they? And then you can kind of drill into them.
Mhm.
A lot of times you see that start to happen, and when you come in for the day and you're looking at it, and
Mhm.
you didn't notice it. Also, I want to mention, Kaylee, if you would, the phone icon on the bottom left. Can you talk about that real quick? I think that's kind of important.
Yes. So this is a new thing they actually added. For people who have iPhones, which would be iPhone 7, I believe, and above, as well as just a scanning app, if you click this bottom icon right here that I'm hovering over to the bottom left of the screen, click on it, it'll come up with
It doesn't matter if
a
it's
scan
Android
code.
too. It'll do it for
Yeah,
Android too.
yeah. So this will send you directly to download the app on your phone or your iPad. And this is what I would use for people who don't really like to, use their phone a lot or their iPad, and they're like, how do I get it on? I don't want to go to the app store and do all that stuff. If you just scan it with the camera and click on the link, it'll send you right there to the Teams app, which is super cool. And we just learned about that recently. Briefly, I just want to say calls. Calls is just like how you would use a phone.
I just scanned it.
You did?
Look
Here's
at
where
it.
it takes you,
It took me right there.
right? That's awesome. Cool. Um, yeah, so calls is just another way that you can add groups
Oh, right. Yeah.
and people just to give them a phone call. This is just a way where if you call a specific group of people more than 2 or 3 times a week and you're sick of like adding them all, you can just add this to here, and then you can just click on that group and it'll call all of them at one time. And it's pretty helpful just so you don't have to, you know exactly where to go to calls, go to your group and call them. And that's what you do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's how it works. So this is just another simplistic way to call people.
I like to just call straight from chat.
Yeah, you can do that as well.
I'm a big fan of that. I'll have all
Right
the
here.
common chats. So I have in my chat group, I have like my engineer chat channel. I have my leadership chat channel. I have my big project chat channel. I have my, all these different things
Yeah.
where I'm just chatting in conversation about different things that are happening. And if I want to talk to them all at once, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to call you guys in just a few seconds. And they're like, okay. And I just hit dial, and it'll just call them all and add them automatically, and I don't have to do it. So that's just really effective to just quickly get people on the phone. And if they don't answer, it just moves on. So they show up kind of as the people that you're trying to call, and if they don't answer in time, it just moves on. And then you can hit the little see the little person with a plus in the top right hand corner underneath the X for Kaylee in that chat. That's where you can add someone else to the chat, or if you're in a call, you can do it the same way. I hope this was helpful to everybody.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy, by the way.
Yeah. I hope this was super helpful to you guys.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Kaylee.
Yeah.
Is that it?
I was gonna say one more thing. We didn't go over this file section, but I just want to say this is where you would just keep your files, any kind of cloud storage that you have. This is where it would be. If you want to know more about this, please feel free to let us know. Shoot us an email, and we can schedule something to talk about this specifically. You could go very in depth with this. So that's why, so that's why we're not really going over it right now, but
it's a pretty deep topic, and
it
has to deal with collaboration and other things like that, and how you can kind of link them. So I think maybe if me and Kaylee will talk, but I think we'll probably do something very soon on that. And what that'll focus on, it'll be more for the collaborative aspect. So it'll be like, here are your files, here how you can access your files from OneDrive. Here's how you can access your files through SharePoint, and how you can leverage them in Teams and Outlook, and how you can work collaboratively with them. Having that skill set is super helpful, because when you open up a Word document and everybody's seeing the changes happening live as you're working is super powerful, and is very efficient versus just shooting stuff back and forth. I mean, you can in Teams share your desktop and everybody be watching as you're typing the edits, but wouldn't it be even cooler if you just opened the Word document and everybody saw the edits on their local Word happening real time? And that's the kind of collaborativeness that we're wanting to talk about. And that all happens through Teams, OneDrive, SharePoint, and you can even do that in straight from the Office products themselves. So it's very powerful. Thank you all so much. Sure. We're going to go ahead.
I hope this, I hope this helped you guys. Thank you.
And have a great day, and stay safe, everyone.